What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of NintendFriends, where we talk about everything Nintendo. Today, we will be talking about Abel's top 5 DS games of all time. I am your host, DA, and with me, as always, is my co-host and fellow gamer, Abel. How you doing today, Abel?
Doing really good, really good.
Yeah?
Yep.
So we're gonna do something a little bit different. It is gonna be another shorter show, which I think is going great, but it's gonna be your show. You're gonna lead today's show, because you have for us the top 5 DS games of all time, in your opinion. So apparently this is based off of popularity. This is based on, the general consensus of,
Yeah, just overall, it's based over critical acclaim by fans, overall, how well the game sold, how many units were sold, things like that. Mm-hmm. And man, I'll tell you what, this was kind of hard to decide because there are so many good games and a lot of games in general just in the DS's catalog.
This will be really interesting for me because, I didn't have a DS. I didn't play with a DS. I'm really, really sad. But, I know nothing. Yeah. Thanks for rubbing it in. But I don't know anything about it, so this will be really interesting for me to, listen to. I'm so excited for this podcast because I want to.
It's a learning.
I'm listening to it. It's a learning experience. It'll be something for me to listen to. So go ahead whenever you're ready.
Cool. Okay. Well, the first game I got here, and this is in no particular order. It's not like
they're not ranked. They're just
no. They're all definitely within the same realm of being super popular, super high selling games.
Cool.
Yeah. So the first one I got here is definitely something that many Nintendo fans, and especially people like us who love Pokemon, will agree that these are great games. The first one I have here is Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver for the Nintendo DS.
Yeah, I only played the gold version on the Game Boy Color. How is that different from the DS game?
Story-wise, it's not that much different. It's definitely kind of like... It's kind of like the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire game. It adds some new things here and there, some new little elements to the game. Great elements, very welcome.
So it's kind of like the what I would know it as would be like Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon.
Yeah,
kind of added stuff to it. And...
Definitely, yeah. It's definitely like a spiritual successor to the original Gold and Silver, which are great games. Everything was just kind of remastered. Obviously the graphics were better, the music was remastered, different elements were added into the game, but overall it does have the same spirit of the original Gold and Silver games. But overall it does have the same...
I'm sorry,
it's okay.
My chair made a noise. It made a fart noise. I don't know if I'm gonna edit it out, but it made a noise. So anyway, just keep going.
We're mature comedy here.
Hard goals. You get what you pay for.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So yeah. No.
It's free.
So this game, it came out in the American, or in the Japanese.
The Americas.
Yeah. The Japanese originally came out in. Sorry. Hold on. Okay.
Wait. Say it again.
The Japanese.
The Japanese. How you put emphasis on the E's.
EU is...
The Japanese.
That's us, right? That's European, though.
EU is European. Yeah. NA is North America.
North American. Okay. I just wanted to double check on that. So the game released in North America March 14th, 2010. It released in Japan September 12th, 2000.
It's not so easy, is it?
It's not.
All right.
It released in Japan September 12th, 2009. And I mean, it's like I said, it's a spiritual successor to the original Gold and Silver. So it takes place in the Johto region. You also get to visit the Kanto region, which is one of the highlights of Gold and Silver, in my opinion. The fact that you get to go to both regions in the game. And it just covers, the same elements of any Pokemon game. You start out with your original Pokemon, which is Chikorita. And what were the other? Oh man, Totodile and Cyndaquil. Yeah, Cyndaquil. And it's a great game. It's one of the highest selling games of all time. Over 12.72 million copies were sold as of March 2014. And that's 2014, mind you. But overall, the game received a lot of good reception. Game rankings rated it 87.83% out of 100%. And Metacritic gave it an 89 out of 100. So it's got a lot of good reviews from well-established gaming review, sites and things like that. And speaking as someone who has played the game and who has beaten the game, I love it. I love it. I have never played the original Gold and Silver.
What?
But yeah, I know.
Oh,
I played Crystal, but I had never played Gold and Silver. So when this game came out, I was around 10 or 11 around that time. So
when the DS game came out.
The DS game came out. So I was like super excited to play the game. It came with a lot of different features. It came with the Poke Walker, which was cool. You got to level up your Pokemon. Which the original Gold and Silver kind of had that too. They had like their own little version of the Poke Walker, the original one. The graphics were definitely using more or less the engine of Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, but it looked really solid and the gameplay was great. I love that you get to do all the gym leaders from Kanto and Johto. The story's great. I don't want to spoil too much for those who haven't played it, but the story's amazing. The legendaries are amazing. Everything about that game is just great. It's a very, very good remake of the original Gold and Silver, and I think it did it a lot of justice, and it shows.
If they ever port any of those old Pokemon games to the Switch, like, I'm all for it. So last question before you move on to the next game. What is your starter Pokemon for Heart Gold and Soul Silver?
Man, good question, because I love the starters in that generation. I think they're all great designs.
For me personally, it would be Cyndaquil.
And
it's just, that's my
Typhlosion's a great third evolution, so I gotta go Totodile. I love Fraligator.
Yeah.
Fraligator, I think, has so much personality. He's like,
which is weird because like I'm a water Pokemon guy.
Yeah, and I'm a fire starter mainly.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of opposite with that.
Yeah, with that specific game.
Yeah,
because that's interesting.
Yeah, I know.
I guess maybe like the character design maybe kind of,
yeah, maybe
has something to do with it. But like I love Cyndaquil is just, even though I'm not usually a fire guy,
right. It's a good design.
I do like Cyndaquil.
Yeah,
and Totodile, I don't know, it just looked too kiddie to me. I don't know.
Yeah, he's real playful, like a.
But that third evolution is fantastic.
Yeah, Fraligator, I like Fraligator, but I love Typhlosion too, and Meganium.
And too. I love Grass type too. Like
yeah.
What's weird is that as I grow older, I tend to go more towards Grass type. Like with Pokemon Sword and Shield, like I didn't like Scorbunny. I wasn't really into Sobble, but like Grookey.
Oh yeah, for me too. Yeah,
like,
when I got Shield, I chose Grookey too.
Oh, you got Grookey too?
Uh-huh.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm as I get older, I tend to shift more to the grass Pokemon. Like, for some reason, I'm like, why? I mean, I always loved Bulbasaur and stuff, but I was just like, why didn't I ever use Bulbasaur? Because like I love Bulbasaur. Like, I love him now, like a lot more than I did when I was younger. But anyway, yeah, man, Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
Yep, great game, great DS game. One of the most famous and one of the most just well-loved DS games of all time.
Yeah.
Definitely by me, for sure.
No,
I will say by
me.
me.
Yeah, me too, so... Yeah. What's next?
Well, since we're already on the Pokemon train, we're talking about
another Pokemon game?
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I know, right? But hey, Pokemon is like the reigning king of handheld Nintendo games. Like, Pokemon
very well said.
Yeah,
it
really is. They know what they're talking about in terms of handheld stuff.
Yeah.
So the next one, I had to put it on Generation 4, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum as well.
Let me just say, I am super excited to play the remakes because I never played Diamond or Pearl. So when you're telling us about this, because I haven't played it yet and I really want to play the remakes, can you like stay away from just a little bit of the spoilers of what happens in that game?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So just like because
yeah.
there are some people who haven't played it.
Definitely.
A lot of people my age for some reason like didn't play that game. So, but let's tell me about it because I really do want to hear more about it, but just not spoilers. So, go ahead.
No, I won't go over anything that has to do with like the main storyline.
But you die.
Yeah, your character dies. No, well, okay, so Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, excluding Platinum right now because that one did come out a little bit later, but just talking about Diamond and Pearl right now. In Japan, it was released September 28th, 2006, and released in North America, Australia, and Europe in 2007. I got this one when it came out. I remember my sister got it. My sister got Diamond. My other sister got Pearl. And I just shared with my older sister who had Diamond because I wanted to play Diamond.
Nice.
So when she was done playing it, I started playing it, and man, that the fourth generation just it's something. You know, I gotta say, if I were to pick out of the third generation and the fourth generation, I love the third generation more, I would say, but there's something about playing the fourth generation games, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, that just gives me so much more nostalgia for it. And it's kind of weird because like that's not the first one I played, but something about those games gives me so much nostalgia, and I think it just has to do with how well they were written. The story is great. It's so memorable. It definitely has one of the most I'd say one of the most interesting like teams, like Team Rocket and all them. Team Galactic is the team in the Diamond and Pearl games. And I think the whole storyline with Team Galactic and their whole mission, and like I said, no spoilers, but I think it's super interesting. I think Cyrus is a great villain. I just think those games are great, and I love the legendaries in there too. But just speaking on a little bit of the reception of the game, Metacritic has given it 90 out of 100.
Sheesh.
Yeah. And IGN gave it an 8.5 out of 10. This is speaking on Diamond specifically. But it had a lot of very positive reviews.
What was the fans' reaction to the game?
So the fans' reaction to the game was definitely great. Right now, Diamond and Pearl has sold around 18 million units worldwide. And that is 2 million more units than its predecessors, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, and almost 6 million more than Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. And it also outsold its successors, Pokemon Black and White, by over 2 million copies upon release. So they are considered one of the most successful Pokemon games ever, for good reason as well. I love everything about those games. The soundtrack is great. I really love the soundtrack of that game. You guys know me, I'm a music person. Well, we both are. So when I say a soundtrack is good and I really love it, I really mean that, from the heart, because the Gen 4 soundtrack is probably one of my favorites.
I know nothing about that, so like I said, I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, you'll really enjoy.
I'm looking forward to listening to the
Yeah, the soundtrack
when I'm playing it. Yeah, for the new one. So.
Yeah, and
I'm excited for this year, man. But
there's a lot of good things coming up for Pokemon, and I'm excited to play that remake too, just to get immersed into that feeling again, that feeling of being a kid, of saying like, oh, I remember when these came out. I remember playing them. I remember getting them for Christmas.
I feel like the new remake will do a better job at introducing it to a new generation. For those who've never played it before, but also keeping that nostalgic feeling.
For those,
I think it'll do that better than Let's Go Pikachu did. Let's Go Pikachu was basically a remake of Yellow version, and so, as somebody who played Yellow version back in the day, they did a really great job with the music, and the story's the same, but I don't know, like it's a great game, I love it, but I just feel like something was missing. And I don't know, maybe it is the graphics. It was too new because I was just used to having this story in 8-bit, But now that they're remaking this and they're sticking to the graphics being a little bit more like the original, but just making it more modern, but having the same kind of the same vibe, look and vibe. Like, I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, it's definitely more reminiscent of older Pokemon titles, which isn't a bad thing at all. And I think a lot of people were kind of not expecting that. They were expecting kind of like how the new designs for Pokemon games have gone, and
or for the Arceus game, that's what they wanted.
That's what I think a lot of people were feeling. But for me personally, I still think it was a great idea because it kind of harkens back to what the Pokemon games used to look like. And I think that's what that game in general is trying to go for. Just the vibe of how it was back then, you know?
Right.
So that's why I personally agree with that design choice. And that makes me even more excited for the game when it comes out. But yeah, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, the original Diamond and Pearl, I have on the list too because they are great games and among one of the top selling ones as well. So yeah.
Do you have Diamond and Pearl still?
Yeah.
Do you have the copies?
Yeah. I would have to look for it. I haven't played it in forever.
I can play Diamond.
Sure, if you want to.
I want to.
If you want to play it before?
Yeah.
This remakes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think I could?
For it. I could look for it.
Oh my god, I'm excited.
I could look for it.
I just peed a little. But yeah, I'm excited. So Diamond and Pearl. Yeah, I know.
I was gonna say, are we gonna put that in?
I might.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm really excited about Diamond and Pearl remake. But
yeah, me too.
So what's next on the list here?
Yep, next right here we have on the list. Okay, now we're getting out of Pokemon. We've fangirled over Pokemon a little bit too much. Now we're gonna get into another gaming series, which of course is among Nintendo's, if not Nintendo's high point. It is New Super Mario Bros. For the DS. Yep, definitely one of the most famous DS games of all time.
Oh yeah.
It was released in North America and Japan of May 2006.
Yep.
And yeah, it was...
I remember the year that it came out, for sure. That was the whole bunch of like, you know, TV spots for it. It was all over the place. So
That's interesting. You still remember like all the...
Oh yeah. I definitely do.
I think I was a little too young to remember it.
I wanted a DS because of it, you know.
That's what made you want to...
Yeah, I was 13.
Yeah, and I was 6. So
you were 6?
6 or 6. Yeah, in 2006 I was 7 maybe in 2006 because I was born in 99.
Dear Lord.
Yeah. So Super Mario Bros. For DS, New Super Mario Bros. For DS, just follows the standard, Super Mario Bros. Storyline. Peach needs rescuing, and it's up to Mario again to save Princess Peach from Bowser. But I think the game is so fun. I love, and I will gush over this real quick. I love the mini games. The mini games are so fun. Like the most replayable thing about that game to me, the thing that keeps me coming back to it even now, because I still have it. It's been a little while, but I played it last year in 2020. I played it with my sisters because we would just connect our DS's Wi-Fi and we would play the mini games together. They're just so fun. That is, I think, the most replayable factor of that game to me. But the main storyline and the main campaign is very good.
I'm gonna have to buy a copy.
I'm telling you, it's well worth it. It's such a fun game. It's colorful. It's bright. It's funny. It's just a great Mario game. It's just a great, solid Mario game.
Would you say that it's the best 2D Mario game of all time? Think about it. I'm here to ask the hard questions, bro. So
Paper Mario doesn't count as 2D. I wouldn't say it. I would say they're their own franchise, so the Paper Mario is its own thing. Okay.
So
best 2D Mario game? I would say it is my personal favorite 2D Mario game, but I would not say it's the best 2D Mario game. But it is my personal favorite. So, yep, that's what I would say. Why? Did you have something else in mind, or?
No, I think it's one of the best 2D Mario games of all time. There is definitely a lot of hype for it, and it's very well remembered.
Right.
Whenever people talk about it, they have they just light up.
Definitely.
I'm just really sad that I played it, but I didn't own it, so I didn't have a DS, so
you didn't have access to it.
I didn't have access to it all the time.
Right.
I just played it whenever I was at a friend's house or something, which was very, very
seldom.
Yeah. So, but yeah, when people talk about it, they really do give it a lot of praise. So, and I think it was a Mario game for the time. It was perfect for it. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everything was handheld at that point. And also New Super Mario Bros. For the Wii, which came out around the same time too, is a great game. But definitely Super Mario Bros. For the DS is a really good game. In terms of reception, the game was graded an 89 out of 100 from Metacritic, and IGN gave it a 9.5 out of 10. So yeah, almost a 10 there. In Japan, over 480,000 units of New Super Mario Bros. For the DS were sold on the first day it was released. So the first day it came out, almost 500,000 units were sold in Japan alone. 900,000 copies in the first 4 days. And this is in Japan, mind you. This isn't worldwide. At its time, it was the best-selling debut for a Nintendo DS game in Japan. In the entire country of Japan, it was the best-selling Nintendo DS game at that point, which is very, very, very high praise for that game, you know. So in the United States, it had 500,000 copies sold in the first 30 days, and 1 million copies were sold 12 weeks after its release. So that's a couple months. So overall, really good reception for the game. A lot of units were being sold. A lot of fans loved the game. A lot of critics loved the game. I loved the game. It's just a fun Mario game. It's fun for all the right reasons, you know. So yeah, that's definitely why it made it on the list for me.
Was that the first one that gave us Big Mario?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. That one and for the Wii. Those were the first two games. New Super Mario Bros. DS and New Super Mario Bros. Wii were the first ones to introduce Big Mario.
Interesting.
Yeah, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, I know I'm not mistaken for the Wii version, but it's been a while since I've done the story mode on the DS. But I know for a fact that it was the first to introduce Big Mario, or like Mega Mario, I guess. I don't know. It was the first to introduce a fight scene, a final fight between Bowser, where you got to actually be Big Mario, and you got to fight him as well. So it was super fun.
You spoke about that when we talked about Mario 3D World, or Bowser's Fury, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know what you were talking about, but I guess
from
that's
those
what you were
games,
talking about.
yeah. And that was the first one to have. I'm not sure if it was the first one to have this, but it was definitely the first one that I can remember that had a large Bowser fight. Just because Mario had the ability to be huge in those games. So the final boss fights with Bowser was like huge, and he was wrecking up the entire castle, and you had to like chase after him. So it was definitely a memorable final fight in both games. But yeah, Super Mario Bros. DS, great game. Nice. So the next one I have is this one. A lot of people will remember this one. This one was, I remember being super popular. And this next one I have is Nintendogs.
Aww.
Yep. The real-time
pet puppy lovers out there.
Pet simulation video game. This one, I would say, is definitely the forefather, the pinnacle of like pet simulation games. I know there were a lot of different little pet simulator games, you know, floating around in the early 2000s and even in the 90s, stuff like that. But I would say
Tamagotchi.
Yeah, stuff like that, yeah. But I would definitely say Nintendogs is something that made it just global, you know, something that it was just huge when it came out. I remember it.
Something I will say about this is that I think it's kind of crazy that a lot of these Nintendo games, even if you didn't have a DS, you knew about this.
Oh yeah.
Like you knew, everybody like Nintendogs, the Mario, the Pokemon, like it makes such a big impact that it reaches those who aren't even playing them.
Oh yeah.
And it makes you fall in love with it. My cousin had this game.
Nintendogs?
Yeah, and she would every time we would go to her house, we would bundle up around her just to watch her play with her dog.
With her pet, yeah.
And it was just so cool. But
you feed them, you play with them, you watch them grow, give them showers, all this stuff, take them for walks. It's so...
but it also just kind of makes me shiver because you just know all of those dogs are dead now.
Yeah. That's like
they
honestly
haven't been taken care of.
Yeah. That's
God.
I always see stuff like that on like Twitter and have you been taking care of your Nintendog recently?
That thing is
not
gone.
since like 2008 maybe. Nintendog memes are kind of funny. But yeah, no, like I mean that just goes to show like how universal the game is.
Yeah.
So it was released in Japan April 21st, 2005, and in North America it was released August 22nd, 2005. So it was definitely one of the earliest DS games. I think the DS came out in 2004 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It was definitely one of the earliest DS games, one of the earliest really famous DS games too.
Yeah, to make it big and
Yeah, to make it super big. So in terms of receptions, Game Rankings gave it an 85% out of 100. Metacritic gave it an 85% out of 100, and IGN gave it an 8.9 out of 10. So these are all, every game that we've mentioned are all definitely high-ranking games and definitely critically acclaimed. And we definitely don't need to say that these games were not, beloved by fans, because all these games were beloved by fans. And talking a little bit about sales, in the first week of its release in Japan, the 3 versions that did come out when released in April totaled 168 units. 168,000 units in the first week of release in Japan. Interestingly enough, the game also boosted the overall sales of the Nintendo DS system itself, going from 22,000 units to an astonishing 95,000 units, so up 4.2 times more units sold of the DS itself just because of this game's release. So people were not only buying the game, but people were buying Nintendo DSs because of this game being released. So that just goes to show like how popular this game was. That speaks volumes in itself. I think this game is great. It's fun. It's interesting. I love the concept of simulator games, especially for young kids, which is definitely the demographic it was targeted for. It teaches kids how to, in a certain sense, it teaches kids how to, take care of things, how to manage things, how to look after things, even if it is something that but something that does not, exist really. But, in a kid's mind, it's just as real as if they had an actual dog, and they want to take care of it as if it was an actual dog. So it teaches the kids a lot of responsibility. And I just think it's a great game overall. So that's why I have it on the list. Now, the last game I have on the list is definitely one of the most famous DS games of all time, and that is.
Stop keeping us in suspense. let us hear
letting it all out. This one is
letting it all
out. So this game is definitely one of the most famous DS games of all time. I don't need to say that. This one is Animal Crossing Wild World.
Really?
Yeah, Animal Crossing Wild World.
I was not expecting that at all.
Yep. No, this was definitely a popular game for the DS, that is, because this was the first Animal Crossing game that came out on the DS.
Was this the first handheld Animal Crossing? I think it was, right?
Yes, it was.
Because the other one came out on the GameCube.
Yep.
Or something like
that. This is the second installment of the series, and this was the first Animal Crossing game to be on a handheld system.
Look at that. Did you play it?
Look at that. I have actually never played Wild World. The first... I'm new to
a DS game that you haven't played.
I know, right? Mind blown. No, I'm relatively new to Animal Crossing. I played a little bit of New Leaf, but I never owned New Leaf on the 3DS. I only started playing it on my own with New Horizons.
Nice.
So, but I always liked the series, and I'm glad I got to get into it on the Switch. So yeah, just Animal Crossing, it's standard, you start out with your own place, you have villagers, of course, you build up your island, you design your island.
Do you still fish?
Yeah, you still fit. You do all the classic things that, all the Animal Crossing games give you that are never going to change, which is great. Of course, it could be played in real time. It affected the different events that would happen, the seasons, of course, different things would happen at different times of day, which is definitely, one of the highlights of playing Animal Crossing games. It definitely was great in that sense. It also introduced Wi-Fi connection, Nintendo Wi-Fi connection, which allowed players to travel and visit the villages of other players through the online
So this was
play.
the thing that introduced that concept to Animal Crossing, or could you do? You couldn't do it on the GameCube, could you?
I don't think so. I don't think you could do that. Correct us if we're wrong in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, because I have not played the original game, but I believe this was the first game that introduced Wi-Fi into it through the DS, through the online play.
That's cool.
Because that was really big for the DS, playing online stuff through the DS,
you
the
think
Wi-Fi.
like it's normal now, but like it was a big thing back in,
especially for a handheld too.
Oh yeah.
But I guess I should also mention this real quick. It was re-released on the Wii U Virtual Console. So if any of you have a Wii U and don't have a DS, you could also play it on the Virtual Console.
Oh, the Wii U.
Yeah.
The machine to play old games.
That's really what the Wii U is, honestly.
Which is great. Like, I ain't mad at it. I really want one. So, anyway.
So, yeah. As in terms of reception, Metacritic gave it an 86 out of 100. IGN gave it a 9 out of 10.
Sheesh.
Yeah, so it's a very well-received game critically. And, of course, like any Animal Crossing game, they're always well-received by fans. There's a very strong diehard Animal Crossing fan base out there that just love all the games and really appreciate
I'm really
all
glad
the games.
to say that I'm in that fandom now.
Me too. Like, yeah, I know it took a long time, but I'm glad to say that I'm finally a part of that also.
Yeah,
it's nice to be into that series because I was never really into it. So Animal Crossing Wild World sold 325,000 copies in Japan in its first week of availability, beating the previous mark set by Jump Superstars and becoming the best-selling title for the Nintendo DS until the release of Brain Age 2. So,
Brain Age.
Yeah, Brain Age, yeah.
That's an honorable mention, huh?
Yeah, Brain Age, honorable mention. Great game too. So it became the 29th best-selling game in Japan in the year 2008. And it also, interesting, it also received a double platinum sales award from the Entertainment and Leisure Software Publishers Association, indicating sales of at least 600,000 copies in the United Kingdom.
What?
Wow. And
they like the Animal Crossing over there in Britain.
In Britain, my bad.
That was a whoopsie. Was it not?
And it says, as of March 31st, 2016, Wild World has sold over 11.75 million copies worldwide. And that was as of 2015. So,
Dear
definitely
Lord.
more since, was that 6 years ago?
That's like 6 years after the game came out.
Yeah.
Or even 5. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So, like I said, I picked these games because they're all very high selling, very critically acclaimed, acclaimed by fans, acclaimed by, pro gamers and novice gamers alike, These are games that anyone can enjoy at any age,
And that you can go back to, probably.
That you can go back to and replay. I replay Super Mario Bros. DS all the time. I've replayed Diamond, like, several times through the story. And Platinum as well. I know I spoke specifically of Diamond and Pearl, but, the fourth generation in general for Pokemon. And I did play Soul Silver. I did only go through that game once, but it's still a great game, and that isn't to say it's not replayable at all, because it definitely is. So these games are great, and of course Animal Crossing is one of the most replayable games of all time. You can play that game for years and never have enough fun. So yeah, and of course Nintendogs too. Yeah. So these are just great games, and it took me a long time to come up with this list because there are just so many great games to choose from. I even considered Brain Age, honestly, again with the honorable mention. They're just all great games. Please, if you have the ability to play them, go back, revisit them, and I guarantee you'll have a fun time. And if you've never played these games before, please, I implore you to check them out, because you will. And if you're a Nintendo fan, you will enjoy them. They're definitely a good time, all of these games.
Yeah.
So yeah, that wraps up my list, my top 5 best-selling and overall best Nintendo DS games, in my opinion.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed listening to, you mentioned the game, so like, it's really cool to have somebody who was there, who witnessed that, who had that experience, and just just to hear about it,
I know it really made you excited to want to play these games. Like I could tell.
Oh
when I
yeah,
was talking,
like
you were
I want to.
just like, wow,
I need
that's cool.
to play Diamond and Pearl ASAP. So.
Well, hey, maybe I'll give you my copy.
Ooh,
Ooh, that's on film now.
Well, that about wraps up another episode. Thank you guys for listening. Remember to follow us on Instagram at NintendFriends.
And you can listen to us on Spotify, the Anchor app, as well as on YouTube.
From us here at NintendFriends, thank you for being our player too. We hope you can join us next time to play